Hey everybody, good morning. It is the 15th of February 2022. It's right at 8:20 in the morning, and we're going to do a real quick update on a lot of altcoins today. We're going to take a look at the crypto market. We're going to take a look at Bitcoin, of course. And before I get into any of this, of course, as you all know, this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. You're responsible for your own trades, managing your own risk, doing your own research, and I'm just giving my opinion on the market. So again, I'm going to go through quite a few alts here. I'm going to take a look at the USDT pairs, taking a look at just really like the overall trend of things. We did discuss a little bit yesterday on Bitcoin, and I do want to kind of discuss Bitcoin a little bit. So let's go ahead and move on into the charts, and we'll kind of get started here. So, looking at Bitcoin, let's go to the hourly here for a moment. First things first, we're above all major moving averages. We're above the 21 exponential, which is sitting right here at about 43. We're above, of course, the 100, the 55, the 200, both the 200s, the exponential and the simple moving average. Everything currently looks okay. Certainly, we are getting to a point where we should be getting a little bit of resistance. And again, just kind of, looking through all of this price action. Let me see if I got my volume profile handy, and I don't. Let me get the volume profile on here, because it is likely looking as if we are. Let me just make a small adjustment. In case you guys use volume profile, I do like to make some adjustments to this. Let me get this row size. I like to make it a little bit smaller. Excuse me. All right, so this way we have a little bit more precision on this. So we've got, of course, our current point of control, which is a little bit below where we are. Looking at the history here, obviously there's very little volume that has taken place here, evidenced by this big candle that flew through this area. We had a level of support here and a level of support here, which had been resistance, and that's at about 42,786. We flew through it. We found a little resistance at this level, and now we're pushing through yet again. So right now, are we at resistance? Yeah, absolutely we are. Is this an area where I would expect to see a little bit of a pullback? Why, absolutely. Yes, I do. And again, for my Elliott Wave people that are out there, I'm going to go to a 15-minute here for a moment. And I'm actually going to hide the moving averages here because I want to take a look at something that I think is, it's pretty important to pay attention to. So from down here at the lows, I can easily count, 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and again, I can count a little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into this 3, and then we have our last final move there, and then we have a correction. Okay, so we've got a correction here. Of course, labeled, I'm just going to throw it as an A, B, C for right now. A very deep wave C, but it's still, it's still valid. Let's check our fib and see from the bottom here. We take it to the top, and we're going to just kind of dig in. We came down here to the 786. Perfect. Where did we have our target set to the upside? Well, we have the negative 236. The 236 extension, and it flew through that. It flew through the 382, and it found resistance right here at the 618 extension. So, based off that, I'm going to say here for a moment, I'm just going to kind of say that, it's very likely that what we've got here is a nice little 1, because we've got a nice little, again, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, ABC 4, and then a 5. This to be completing potentially wave 3. So let's measure it, right? As with all things, we measure these targets. So we have our 1, and then we've got our wave 2 right there. Where is our 1618? Let me just go ahead and make just a little bit of an adjustment here so this doesn't extend to the right, and put it to the right in the middle. All right, so here's our 1618. We passed that. Okay, we passed that. We went beyond. So let's put our 2618 on here and see where our next reasonable target is going to be to the upside. Keeping in mind that I did make an alert on our Discord that I was buying, and I'm taking a look for a move that's going to take us up to 49 to 51,000. So looking at this, it doesn't actually look like this is done. So what I would be more willing to say is this wave 5 is not in yet, but this is actually wave 3. And then we're working on this wave 4. So off of this, we get the 1 down here, we get the 2 right here. And then going down 1 more degree, it's very easy to see that we've got another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to complete that wave 3. And that's going to be on a lower degree, on a lesser degree. So far, this matches. Again, we found some subdivision, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into the 3. And then we've got a 4, and then a 5, and then an A, B, a deep C to the 7, 8, 6. And our target's going to be sitting right here for wave 3. The target's going to be sitting right here at about 45,300. Now, do I think there's going to be a pullback? Yeah, and it's already kind of happening. I would totally expect this to happen. Let's put a fib pull on the wave 3. What I'm projecting as the wave 3 is going to be from right here to right there. The 382 is going to be all the way down here at about 43,528. Do I think it's going to go down there? It's very possible. Very possible it does come all the way down here. And then our upside target here, we've got the 2618, right? Looking at this, we've got the negative 236 at 45,000 right on the nose. Negative 382 extension at 45,361. And the 2618 of our initial 1, 2 is going to be, again, about 45,300. So this all looks good. So where's our next target going to be to the upside? Well, again, I have been watching. I will continue to watch the levels up closer to 49 to 51,000, right? So let me go ahead and put in the 3618 and the 4618. So there's my 4618. Let's go ahead and put a 3618 on here, 3.618. And let's just see if we have reasonable targets at that level that I was talking about. So right here, we've got a target at about 48.1. Right here, we've got a target at about 46.7. So these are areas where I will actually be looking to take profit. Even though my target is 49 to 51, based on our trend-based fib extension, again, this looks like it almost has to be working on a wave 3 because we've gone past corrective targets. Again, we had this level here, it broke. We have this level here, it broke. And it looks like it's going to come back and do a retest. This looks like it is absolutely going to come back and do a retest. You're welcome, Giovanni. Thanks for joining in today. So again, it looks like we're going to get a pullback down here. More than likely, it'll be today. It could be that it happens tomorrow. Keep in mind that, not that we're talking about traditional markets, but we do have FOMC minutes that are going to be released from their quote-unquote secret session yesterday. I mean, they have those kinds of things all the time. So that doesn't really bother me so much. But we do have the minutes release, which typically happen on Wednesdays, and that is no exception for tomorrow. We are going to have some good information that's going to come out tomorrow. More than likely, it's going to cause markets to pull back a little bit. I mean, if you take a look at the S&P, it's up 1.36%. If you take a look at NASDAQ, it's up 1.87%. Even Russell is up 1.45% right now. So naturally, we're going to get a little bit of a stir after we have a major gap up like this. Right now, in the 15-minute, the heat map is very, very green, and it has been basically since, right before we had this big move up. The expected pullback value is going to be right here at about 43,528. So that's our 382. Now, if it stops here at 43,875, well, that's fine. That's fine. But keep in mind that what I'm saying here is we're probably going to get a pullback. That doesn't mean sell and buy back. We're in from all the way back here, right? And we've moved our stop loss to a reasonable place where we can give back some profits, but I still think that the trade is still good. At least currently, my thesis is, yeah, the trade is still good. We're probably going to go up to, this $45,000 target. And when we get up there, yeah, we're going to get a little bit more of a pullback, right? More of a pullback, probably to this area right here, okay? Probably to the same area, and then we're going to see that further thrust to the upside to complete wave 5. But this is all predicated on the fact that we have to get this a little pullback here, at least to the 236. More than likely, it's going to come back down here to the 382, again at about 43,550 or so. And then we see that thrust to the upside. So far, so good. So we'll see how it goes, and we'll take it from there. So now I'm going to shift gears, and I'm going to start taking a look at other altcoins. So if there's anything you want me to take a look at, just throw it in the comments. I will keep an eye on that, And otherwise, let's start taking a look at Ripple. So we've been watching Ripple for quite some time. We were watching it when we were all the way back here. We had a good pullback, bought a little bit more down here. But at any rate, right now, again, this looks like a completed correction of sorts. So from here, again, very similar to Bitcoin. From this here, we've got a nice little 1, 2, and then a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5 into the 3. We got the 4. Now we go up for the 5. I think that Ripple, more than likely, is going to see a push up to about $1.04, $1.05, and from there, I think we're going to get a pretty significant pullback. Again, we are basically trading right at the point of control right now on this 4 hour based on the prices that we see right now, based on the candles that we see. And of course, as more candles get added, the point of control is going to move. So there's your major point of control right there at about 108. And I do think that we are going to get a little bit of a rejection there. Is it going to be quick to get up there? Is it going to be easy to get up there? Well, based on the volume profile, it suggests yes. We have a low volume node here. We've got a low volume node here. And just generally speaking, volume is much lower here compared to what we've got back here. Of course, there's very, very low volume back here. But at any rate, that level right up here at about $1.05 to $1.08 more than likely is going to have significant resistance. And rightfully so, because you've got a lot of people. How much time did we spend up here? Let's just go ahead and take a look at it. So date range from back here all the way to, right here, we had basically 107 days. So over 3 months, the price stayed up there in that area. We had a lot of people that bought up there because they were buying, expecting it to just continue going higher, right? And if they didn't stop out, which most retail doesn't, they're still holding that and they want to get out. And so that's the reason why some of these support and resistance areas even exist. So right there at that level, more than likely, we are going to see significant resistance. Let's just take a look at levels on Ripple. I'm not going to spend too much time analyzing the point of control, but we are going to have a significant resistance right there at about $1.02. The next area of resistance that's going to be important is going to be about right here. And again, I'm just looking left, right? So we've got points of support here, point of support here, had some resistance here, a little bit of support there, lots of resistance here. So if we can get up above 89 cents, then well, that really opens up the window. As long as we can start trading above 89 cents, it opens that door to $1.02. If we can get up above $1.02, well, really, honestly, the next level that's going to be really significant is going to be about, this one's a little tougher. It's going to be at about $1.15. Again, we see some resistance here. Evidence of support right here. We've got some fighting that occurred back here. You can see some resistance here, a little bit of resistance here, a little bit of support there. And then, of course, we have resistance up here in this area. So I would expect that $1.15 is going to be that next level. Once we get above $1.15, well, that really does open the door for new highs on Ripple. Now, I don't really expect that's going to happen anytime here in the near future. I mean, if it does, great, because I do hold Ripple, just full disclosure. But yeah, so that's something that I will be paying attention to. If it can get above 89 cents, it opens the door to $1.02. If it gets above $1.02, opens the door to $1.15. If it opens above if it starts trading above $1.15, well, then we can really start talking about, going back up here to these highs, because at that point, we have, good evidence that, based on support and resistance, we'll have a level here at about $1.40, but it really does make it easier for us to get up to new highs. And again, on the 4 hour, you can see we're finding some support here at the 55 exponential. We're above the 21 exponential. We're really above all major moving averages on the 4 hour, which is pretty healthy right now. If I go to the daily, more than likely it's not going to look as good. On the daily, we found some resistance here at the 200 exponential, which I would expect that to happen. We had a nice reversion to the mean, right, which is this 200. We haven't quite made it back up here to the 200 simple, but again, we found some resistance here at the 200 exponential. And back here, if you take a look, we got through the 200 exponential, but then we found resistance here at the 100 exponential, which has crossed below the 200. So there's a 100-200 cross here. And we are currently fighting at the 100 exponential right now. I tend to believe it's actually going to make it through, and it's probably going to make its way up here to the 200 simple, and we'll just kind of go from there one step at a time. Heat map looks okay, so there's no red on the heat map, which is, you know, generally a pretty good thing. We don't want to see red on the heat map like we did back here, right? You started seeing signs of red. Actually, it started to occur all the way back here when the price was sitting up here at about 95 cents to $1, and it just continued to grow. Right, it continued to grow, even though we had a little bit of a bounce here. It still, you know, it still was pressure to the downside, and so that continued until right here, where it actually started turning purple, green, and all the red went away. Right, so right now it doesn't look bad. It's up above the 100 exponential on the daily, which is good. So I had a request to take a look at FTM. That is on my list, so I'm going to go ahead and take a look at that now. FTM is up, you know, it's up almost 6% right now. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Yeah, okay, so let me just clean this up. So as you can see, I haven't taken a look at this chart in a long time. We hit a corrective target based on that. Let's take a look here. All right, so we're on the daily. We had a retest, a good retest of the 200 exponential. This was yesterday. Again, a nice move today so far. Nice move today. And a lot of these things are going to be moving in the same direction as Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, you know, a lot of people still say, you know, Bitcoin doesn't control the market. Well, it does. It absolutely does. And honestly, you'd be a fool to say that it doesn't. Now, there are some exceptions to the rule, but Bitcoin really does rule the market. Okay, so let's just take a look. We're going to take a fib pull here from this dominant pivot low, this dominant pivot high, and I'm just going to kind of move things over to the right just to kind of show you. All right, so we had a front run of the 618. And again, another front run of the 618 right here. But on a daily, so we've got this channel that we were trading in for quite some time. So I'm just going to move this guy over to the right some more because we're still trading inside of this range. Okay, so you know, we hit the bottom of the range, move to the top of the range. Here, hit the bottom of the range, move to the top of the range. We flew through, but you know, eventually, obviously, we went above, hit the bottom of the range, went to the top of the range. Bottom of the range, almost went to the top. Bottom of the range, what's next? You know, at some point, one of these levels are going to break in a significant way. The last time it broke down in a significant way, a huge move to the downside, right? This was back on December 4th. Obviously, it's recovered since then, and it doesn't look that bad. So I also do hold some FTM that I've been holding and kind of flipping here and there. But yeah, I would say that as long as we can get above the 21 exponential here on the daily, which again is about a 212. It's about a 212. If we can get above 212, then I think that we open the doors to come up here to new highs. And again, just taking a look from a levels perspective, we have a significant level right here that I do want to pay attention to. It's going to be at about 265. Again, lots of price agreement at that level if you go all the way back here to October and November, right? So you can see candle closures, above and below, right around this area. So again, lots of price acceptance. Let me just get rid of the channel and just taking a look from, again, a levels perspective. The next area that I can see, I'm just kind of scanning across, it's going to be right here. So again, candle closures, same thing right here, candle closures. This one was just a little bit off, but it's still pretty valid. A wick support there, resistance here, resistance there, candle closures and wicks. So that level at about 232, 231 and a half is going to be pretty important. Right now, the important level that we need to maintain above is going to be about right here. So as long as we can maintain above about $1.95, I'd say this trade is good to be in. If you're not in this trade, I mean, is this something that I would take right now? Well, let's just go ahead and take a look at the risk to reward on this. Right now, again, we're talking about holding above here. It's about 5.26% risk. But, you know, what I'm really looking for is a move up here. It's about 265. So that's about a 30% gain for a 5.26% risk. You know, risk to reward is about 5.63 to 1. That's not bad. It's not terrible. But let's go down to an hourly. Right now we're looking at a daily, right? Let's take a look at hourly and see, you know, what this looks like. Well, our stop loss is going to be all the way back down here. So that's reasonable. But is this a trade that I would take today? Well, I'd say no. I say no, it's probably not a trade I would take today. And the reason why, you know, we've got hourly and the 3 hour that's all up here in overbought, you know? So generally speaking, that's not a great place to be entering, right? The place to be entering is when you have the 1 hour, the 3 hour, and really you want the 12 hour down there also, in oversold all at the same time. So let's just take a look. You know, once we got this 12 hour down here and oversold, when you had the hourly down here, it's really honestly when the price, the cross up happened on this candle right here. So if this is where the cross up happened, well, let's just see how that relates to the price action. So that was right down here. Now, certainly the 3 hour wasn't there, so the setup wasn't fantastic. But we also created some significant bullish divergence on this. If you're interested in divergence, I'm doing a class on our Discord. If you don't have access to the Discord, information is available in the description below. But we did have some bullish divergence here on the 3 hour on FTM. So that was a little more confluence to be entering into FTM down here below $1.85. So the indicator was telling us, okay, well, the 12 hour is getting oversold. The 1 hour was oversold. The 3 hour was oversold. It bounced and started to come back down. Again, we had that bullish divergence. So that was also, a great place to be entering. But again, would I enter up here? That's the real question. No, I'd say we're probably more than likely going to get a little bit of a pullback on FTM. Before it sees a further move to the upside. So you could probably get a better entry is really what I'm trying to say. So just being cautious there. Let's take a look at the 4 hour. This is actually quite interesting. So the squeeze indicator that I've got here, we were in a tight squeeze, right? That's what these orange dots are. The red dot means that it is kind of expanding. It's exiting the squeeze, and right now it's expanding to the upside. So this is not terrible. I don't know if I've got my Bollinger Bands on here. I don't have Bollinger Bands on here. I'll have to put that on there because that's also something pretty important to pay attention to. So let me get my Bollinger Bands. I'm going to make some slight adjustments to the bands that I've got here because I do have specific things that I like to have and like to see on the bands. So first off, I don't really care about the upper and lower lines. I'm not going to put the basis on here. The basis is nothing more than a 20 simple moving average. I don't really care so much about that. But the background color, I do want to have the background on there so I can see the bands pretty easily. So I'm going to make it just a little bit brighter so we can see it with a little more clarity. So right now we're at the top of the bands on the 4 hour. We are exiting a squeeze on the 4 hour, and currently it's expanding to the upside. So admittedly, it looks okay. It actually does look all right. But I would still hold off on making any purchases on FTM right now because right now it looks like it's starting to create, and again, there's 2 hours left on this candle. It's starting to create a little bit of a reversal. If we see a thrust to the upside and we close somewhere above, about 207, that's going to, create a really great candidate for kind of a reversal candle. So just be very cautious of that. And, reversal candles are things that we do see quite a bit, right? So right here is a really great example on the 4 hour. We had a big reversal candle right here where we had a big wick to the upside and a rejection. So that was completely absorbed. And then the next candle, it just completely sold off. Okay. And right here, we had a little bit of an inverted hammer, right? So hammer means we had a big push to the downside. And then it kind of got absorbed, right? So there's selling pressure that was absorbed, but it was at the top, which means more than likely it's going to move to the downside. We can get these types of candles on the downside as well. Here's a great one at the bottom of a trend, right? Big move to the downside. It also happened right here. Big move to the downside, and then it was absorbed, and it was in a downtrend, so that's a reversal, right? And then right here, it was moving to the upside. We had absorption. So that leads me to believe bears are in control, and then it moved down right here. Absorption from a move to the downside, and then it did kind of move up. We had tweezer tops here, which is another candle formation, and then a push to the downside. Not really, there wasn't a really good candle per se that said we were going to move to the upside back here, but you can see these big wicks are actually important on the higher time frames because they tell a bigger story on what's going to happen to the trend, right? They are good at showing trend reversals. I'm going to take a look at Litecoin. Litecoin's one of these guys that people often forget about, right? Litecoin, I think, looks great. I do. Now, again, would I buy here? No, I would have bought, lower, like at about $1.22 or $1.23. It's currently up a decent bit. The last 4 hour candle closed 2% up. Right now, it's only about a quarter of a percent or so. But all in all, I think Litecoin looks okay. From the bottom, it's going to be really hard to try and get a count out of all of this. That's going to be very difficult. I'm not going to try and dig a count out of this, except to say that it's possible that there is a bit of a leading diagonal potentially. This wick right here does kind of make things a little harder to analyze, but nonetheless, we do have a trend line right here that I do believe we're probably going to keep. If it comes back down here to this area at about $1.18, yeah, I'd be a buyer back here. From a support and resistance standpoint, which you guys all know that I like to pay attention to support and resistance, I'm going to go to the daily here. Okay, so yeah, I guess this count is a little old, so I'm going to just make an adjustment to this, because what it looks like, this was not a 1-2. It looks like the 4 actually went in here after a correction, then another correction, then another correction. This looks like it has resolved quite nicely, actually. So from down here, A, B, C, so it looks like a WXY is in the works here. And of course here from the top, a nice A, B, C, right? So to complete wave 4, nice 333 WXY, it looks decent. So I would say that this is a candidate for wave 4. It didn't violate the top of what we had here for wave 1, so this is still good. And the upside target that we had at the time was up here at about $500. Now, do I think we're going to get to $500? Yeah, actually, I do. I actually do believe that we're going to get to $500. So if you're in it for the long haul, long term, so if you're in for a long-term trade, well, yeah, I would say this is as good of a place as any to be buying. And the reason why I say that is for the exact same reasons I was talking about Bitcoin yesterday. So yesterday I did a video on the general markets, but I also talked a little bit about Bitcoin exclusively. But I focused on the indicator, right? So if you don't have the indicator, BitDoctor.org give you all the information on how to access our indicator. But right here, right? So here's a freebie for you guys. All right. So we talked about this. What happens when the weekly gets into oversold? Those are the best times to be buying, period. Period. Best times to be buying. If you can get a good thrust down move when the weekly isn't oversold, that is a time to be buying. Okay. So what did we have, right? So, back here, the weekly wasn't quite there, but back here, the weekly wasn't oversold, right? And we had a big thrust down. Buying anywhere in this area would have yielded great results. Even today, it would have been good, right? We didn't have any bearish divergence here, right? But we came back down, and again, down here and oversold, big thrust move down, great place to be buying. If you bought anywhere down here, you're in profit, right? These are going to be longer term trades. It's a weekly indicator, so you're going to be in this trade for weeks, right? By nature. So wait for this to get up above the neutral zone and start taking profit off the table. But this looks good. Litecoin looks good. What do others look like? I want to take a look at BNB. So Binance Coin. All right, so taking a look at this, we've got the weekly that's down here. It's not as good as some of the others are. But again, the last time the weekly was down here in this area, it started right around here. Again, that big thrust down, the weekly was an oversold. Good place to be buying down here at about 275 or so. And of course, as you all know, it went up a lot more than 100%, right? From 275 or so, it's 144%, basically 141% to the top. That was a really, really great move. And what happened up here? Well, we had the weekly that was an overbought. And this is when everybody was being greedy. Use the weekly as your fear and greed meter. When that weekly gets down into oversold, man, everybody is afraid. Nobody wants to buy. But when the prices are up here, well, everybody wants to buy because it's just going to keep going. No, that's not the way this works. Not the way this works. And just have to keep a level head and just trust the indicator to help you along the way. Now, BNB is also in a very similar situation on the daily, though. So very similar to what we were looking at before on, I believe it was Ripple or where we had the 4-hour squeeze, right? So we've got a daily squeeze here on Binance Coin that is currently resolving, to the upside. So it's currently being kept inside of the Bollinger Bands, but as time goes by, I'd be willing to bet that this is just going to continue to ride the wave up. And you're going to start to see some expansion, and more than likely it's going to be to the upside. So where's our levels that we need to pay attention to? I mean, there's a huge level right here. This is a key level right here at 505. That level is so important, I'm going to give it a different color because that is a very, very important level. Another level that's kind of important is where we had a little bit of a rejection right now. So rejection right there. I'm going to change this back to my orange color. That's just my normal level color. So we have resistance here, support, resistance, support. We kind of pushed down below. We pushed back up above it. But candle closures, resistance. If we can push up above 441, we are going to 500. We're going to 500. We're going to 505. If we can push above this level right here is so important. Let's throw a trend on this right here. And just to kind of take a look, we're finding more and more confluence here that this level is important. So if we can get a cross up above this, right? You can see here we have a high, didn't quite get there, but we got back up there, right? And it happened to be at a key level that we got this. It also happens to be at the 55 exponential on the daily. Yeah, this more than likely is going to get a little bit of a rejection, but it looks good. The weekly is trying so hard to cross. Now it hasn't done it yet, so don't go all in on leverage or anything on this. Now, would I take a leverage trade on this guy? No, it's already up 6.5%, right? A lot of people I know, they like to do 10x or 20x or 30x leverage. Well, basically, you basically are already, underwater by 65%, 130%, 180%, right? You're already missing that move. You've already missed that move. If you didn't buy yesterday, then you've missed the move. Okay, so you have to be very careful, especially if you're using leverage. If I was using leverage right now, I'd probably be interested in taking a short here at 430 and doing a stop loss at 440 and targeting, an area right back here, right around 400, right? If you're looking at for a short-term swing, I mean, that's really what I'd be looking for. I mean, look at that rejection right there at the key level and right there at the trend line. And then again, on the daily, that was the 55. Yeah, there's going to be a little bit of a rejection there. Let's put the rest of our indicators back on here and take a look at it. So put the simple on there so that we've got the 1 hour, the 3 hour, and of course, the 12-hour looks great. The 12-hour really does look good. The weekly is trying to cross. If we can close up here above 440 by next Sunday, keep in mind this is only Tuesday, well then yeah, I think that weekly is going to cross, but it's too early to tell. And I do believe by the time it does cross, we are going to be in a situation where we will have gotten a pullback, right? So, the markets don't just move in one direction. They move up and down, and the markets are designed to take money from you. So you need to use the tools that you have at your disposal to make informed decisions based on what the market is doing. 1 hour, 3 hour, and really the weekly was almost there. This was a good place to be buying. Now, the 12-hour was still kind of moving sideways, right? Or sorry, the 12-hour was moving down. Apologies. Back here, the 1 hour, the weekly, the 12-hour, and the 3 hour was kind of down here, right? It wasn't quite there, but we had pretty decent confluence. Again, this was also down here at about $395. Great place to be buying. Where are we at right now? We're at 430. What kind of a percentage move is that from where that was? That was almost 10%, 9.11%. You have to use the indicator in order to make informed decisions on when you should be looking to buy. You don't need to know Elliott wave to use the indicator. You just have a few lines on this indicator to look at to make an informed decision. Should I be buying this? Now, I'm going to do something really quickly for you guys because I've been talking here for about 35 minutes. I'm going to do something really quickly and show you what I do whenever I'm scanning something to decide whether I need to be looking at buying something. So again, I'm just going to start with certain coins. I'm going to start with some losers, which admittedly there aren't many losers. So I'm going to start with some small winners. So one of the smallest winners is OXT here on Binance. Would I be interested in buying here? Really quickly, we had all the indicators down here and oversold all at the same time. I would have bought back here, but now that the hourly is all the way up here, it looks like it's probably going to come back down. So I would say right now, no, I'd be waiting for that. ASR is the next one. The weekly, honestly, the weekly on this one has been flatlined for so long, I wouldn't be interested in that one just quite yet. But I had a nice little slight trending move up. What do the indicators look like? Not that great. So I would say no, there's probably not a good trade on here. So I would probably skip on that. Juvu, I don't even know what this is. 1 hour, 3 hour, 12-hour weekly, all never sold at the same time. Big move up. This was either a pump and dump or this was some kind of accumulation that was occurring. Honestly, I think this one looks okay. This one probably does look all right. The best entry was going to be right here at about 674, but it's only at 686. So, if your entry was, again, at about 674, you're only talking about a missing like a 2% move. That's not that bad. And as far as a stop loss goes, where would you put your stop loss? About 3.7% right down here at this area. I mean, it doesn't look that bad. So I would say that, this one probably doesn't look too bad. So not that I'm saying to go and buy this. I'm just saying look at the indicators, right? Again, the best entry was going to be right around right here, but it's not up that much more since then. ORN, what does this one look like? I mean, this looks like just big up, down, up, down. So it's really choppy right now. I would wait to see if we can get a move back down here. The hourly does look like it wants to come back down. The weekly looks like it wants to cross. There's a lot of confusion in this one in particular. So I would say probably not. But let's take a look at Monero, right? So this is a high market cap stock. I don't believe it's in the top 10 anymore, but it's probably still in the top 50. Monero, yeah, so you got the 1 hour, the 3 hour that were down here all at the same time. This is one of the better places to be buying. And of course, the 12-hour was still moving down. So would I have bought down here? No, I probably wouldn't have. It's easy for me to say, oh yeah, I'd buy here. But honestly, I probably wouldn't because of the 12-hour moving down. Let's look at Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash currently above all major moving averages on the hourly. Yeah, very, very similar, right? So we're just now getting across. But I think this is probably going to be a little bit of a fake out. So more than likely, it probably is going to come back down. It's probably going to find support at a trend line, which is probably going to be right down here, probably somewhere around maybe 325 or so. So Bitcoin Cash, I'd hold off. I'd hold off and wait for things to kind of reset a little bit. So doesn't look all that great. Let's take a look at MFT. Yeah, you see, there's too many wicks here. I'm not really interested in buying things that are wicking around so much, unless I move out to the daily and I see that we're just kind of moving sideways, right? Looks like a little bit of an impulse and a pullback. And the weekly, the weekly on this one, admittedly, looks really good. It looks very similar than the weekly did back here. Again, I talked about these yesterday. Big move up, a little bit of a pullback. When the weekly isn't oversold, that's a great place to be buying. Right now, what do we have? Big move up, a little bit of a pullback when weekly is oversold. And generally speaking, that's a good place to be buying. If I were to buy this, MFT, this is how I would take this trade. I'd be looking right here. I'd immediately be looking for a stop loss before I even think about a target. So looking at this, that's 32%, right? That's 32%. Am I going to get a good trade out of this? Well, let's just take a look here. Let's, again, get a trend line from the top here, take it to that next pivot point. Likely we're going to get some resistance there. So, I mean, there's possibility for 78%, but if I'm going to lose 32%, I'm not going to risk a whole lot of capital. Right? Yeah, I'm gonna risk 32% of it. Am I going to be able to get a better entry? Yeah, I actually think that there probably is going to be a better entry, probably closer to this level right here, which still gives me a 25% or 24% loss, but that takes me up to almost 100% gain. That would be a better entry if we get a move down here to 006157. But also keep in mind that if your risk is say $50. You're willing to risk $50 on every trade that you take, right? You're only going to be putting in $200 into this trade because you're risking 25%. 25% of $200, that's your $50 that you're risking. So, when you're taking a stop loss, that's something you need to pay attention to. Question number one, what is the risk I'm willing to take? Okay, so if your risk is $50, then you have to say, all right, so what is the capital I'm putting on the table? So you have to calculate your stop when you do that, right? So that's the next thing that you have to do. You have to calculate your stop loss. Okay, once you've calculated your stop loss, then you can calculate how much capital you're putting on the table, right? So again, I just talked about this. If your stop loss is 25% and you're willing to risk $50, you can only put $200 in this trade. Now, if it goes up to your target, well, you just made 100%. But there's something that you can't guarantee. One thing that you cannot guarantee in life is that you're going to be right 100% of the time. So it's very important that 100% of the time you manage your entries and you manage your positions before you enter them. You have to determine how much you're willing to lose before you can determine how much you're putting into the trade. Again, I'm going to say it one more time. I'm risking 25% on this trade. Now, I'm not actually doing this. I'm just hypothetically speaking here. If I'm risking 25% on this trade and I'm willing to basically light $50 on fire and give it to somebody else, right? If I'm willing to give somebody else $50 to take this trade, well, I'm only going to put in $200 into this trade. Now, if you're willing to risk $500, okay, well, there you go. You can put in $2,000 into this trade. You can't put more than that because then your risk is no longer $500. Your risk is no longer $50 because you're putting more on the table. Your stop loss has to be right there, right? Now, would I take this? Honestly, I'm torn. Chances are pretty good this is going to be all right. You're going to get that bounce up there. This looks like Bitcoin 2018 to me, right? So what do we have right here? Well, this is February of 2018. What do we have right here? Well, this is, I think it was May of 2018, right? Basically, we had dead cat bounce, and then we have another dead cat bounce that goes lower. Each time it's going to go lower, right? So what do we have right here? We had a move, basically up to the 618. It did extend above it, but it got rejected, and it's been respecting 618 there. So now let's just take this a little bit lower. So to that level right there. Well, what do we have? We have our 618 right here, right? So maybe I'll only look for a move to maybe 1.1 cents. That's going to be our 618, right? It could be that it goes a little bit higher, but I doubt it's going to make it past this trend line. So, all right, that's enough of a lesson here. I've been talking about this for a while now, but you get the idea. You get the idea. Managing your risk before you enter the trade, that's your key. Before you get into a trade, you got to realize what you're really putting on the table and what you're willing to give away. And you have to be honest with yourself. Am I actually going to sell if it gets down here to this level, or am I going to buy more? And if you're buying more, then you probably shouldn't be trading, because if that's where you're saying you're wrong, then you absolutely shouldn't be buying more, because just like I said, you said you're wrong there, so you shouldn't be buying more there. You should be exiting that position, giving that person, that $50, just live with it, right? Trade is invalidated, move on. How many different alts are there on Binance, on KuCoin, even on Coinbase? If you like trading on Coinbase, there's hundreds, thousands of different things for you to trade. Don't get married to a single asset and move on if you get stopped and you're wrong. It's as simple as that. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. If this video did help you in any way, shape, or form, you know the deal. Like, subscribe, share. If you need access to our Discord, you can find all the information on bitdoctor.org, including free access, premium access, We've got really great results from the last few weeks. These are the results from the week before last. I still need to put together the totals for last week as well, but last week was also pretty good. We got into some great trades yesterday. We do this every day. So we'd love to have you inside of our server. If you have any questions, you can email us. All that information is available on our website, which is at bitdoctor.org. And last but not least, wherever you're on the world, I hope you're having a good day, a good night, and a good evening. Take care, everyone.